Yo, what's up everybody? It's Victon here with my third League Starter build guide for 3.19 Lakes of Calandra League. And this one is actually my favorite of all three. It's not the one that I'm going to be playing for League Start. I am going to be going Absolution as my League Start character. But this actually is my favorite of all three. I think it's the best all-around build that you can get as far as damage and defenses. It's the best defenses of all three builds that I put out. And it's the second best in damage, second to Absolution. So in general, I think it's just a fantastic all-around build, and it did get buffed quite a bit with this league compared to last league. So I think it's in a pretty good spot, and in general, I think this is probably the best League Starter Minion build all-arounder out there right now. So what is it? Of course, you already know because you clicked on the video. It is Summon Raging Spirits, and we're going to be doing the Minion Instability version of the build. So what we're going to be doing in this guide here is I'm going to talk about the buffs that Summon Raging Spirit actually got. A couple of the unique items got changed as well, so we'll talk about that first, just to give you guys an idea of kind of like what has changed since the last couple leagues, if you guys have ever played this before. From there, we're of course going to talk about the path of building. We're going to talk about the skill gems and then the items, and of course I do have all of the trade links that you're going to need to level up this build and gear it out from your League Starter version up to the medium budget version of the build. We also have a leveling loot filter that is customized specifically for this build, so I'll show you guys how to get that as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the changes that Summon Raging Spirit got this league. So Summon Raging Spirit in general no longer has minions gain 15% less added damage. So that's kind of cool because what it's going to do is it's more for not like a minion instability build, it's more for like a melee build, so you can actually scale the flat damage, like for example fire flat, for minions a lot easier now. So pretty nice. It's basically like a 15% more multiplier for flat damage, so pretty nice. Now has minions deal 0% more damage level 1, up to 38% more damage at gem level 20, previously 0. So basically 38% more damage. That's actually solid. So super good there. Minion base life is now 20% higher at all levels. Now costs 4 mana at gem level 1, unchanged, up to 16 at gem level 20, previously 12. So the mana is going to be a little rough with this one. The higher base life is also nice as well. The base life of all minions got changed as well, but it is still a little bit of a buff compared to last league. So it is not bad. We are going to get a little bit more life, which does help out for, of course, the minion instability part of the build. So that's pretty nice. Helmet Enchant grants a chance to summon extra minion. We really don't care about that, so that is no big deal. So obviously the big things here is we're getting a little bit more life and we're doing 38% more damage. So in general, it came out to about a 30% more damage compared to last league. So pretty good, pretty good. One of the changes here to this unique, and by the way, that 30% is after everything that I'm talking about today. Basically, after all your gear is equipped, it's about a 30 to 40% more damage multiplier, not multiplier, but like more damage than you previously would have gotten in a League Start version for roughly the same gear. So the Tabikai unique amulet is absolutely mandatory for this build. Basically what it does, if you guys do not know, is it makes your Summon Raging Spirits degen chaos damage until they die, and once they die, actually until once they get, you know, past level, past 33% HP or 30%, whatever it is, they will die and they will explode, and that's how we deal all of our damage. So this unique is absolutely mandatory. A little sad because it did get nerfed actually quite a bit. Summon Raging Spirits to deal 25 to 40% increased damage, previously 50 or 60 to 80. And this is the big thing here, though, and cause Summon Raging Spirits to have 25 to 40% increased maximum life, previously 80 to 100. That really sucks. It's not a huge deal. Like I said, at the end of the day, we are actually still doing more damage than we've ever done with this build, but it sucks. That was a pretty big nerf to the Tabikai. Regardless, we're still going to be using that. It is still best in slot and absolutely mandatory. Good news is these are usually pretty cheap. Like super cheap, even in League Start, so not too bad there. And those were the changes to Summon Raging Spirit specifically, so let's go ahead and hop on over to the path of building. So this path of building is actually pretty straightforward. Most minion builds are these days, especially because if you're going a necromancer, there's really just kind of one way that you want to go. You almost always want to get Mistress of Sacrifice, so you're getting the block chance. So you're stacking, you know, you're trying to cap out your block chance, you're getting some good life, and you're getting all the minion nodes basically on the tree, and that's just really it. There's not much variation with minion builds and the POB these days, so it kind of is what it is. So either way, I will still kind of talk about the build. This is the finalized version. It's actually level 95 or 96, not 95 there, but as always, I do have all of the leveling points that you're going to do, so you can start from level 1 all the way up to your final build at level 96. So check that out if you want to kind of follow the guide as far as your points. I'll kind of talk about the pathing here. It's actually pretty straightforward as far as pathing. I won't go into too much detail because it's pretty basic. What I do want to cover though is the fact that because of this pathing right here, it's actually really balanced. You're going to get a lot of good damage early on, so it's going to feel really nice, and you're also going to get some solid life early on. So it's a really good mixture of like you're getting damage, and then you're getting life. You're getting damage, and then you're getting life. And you also get minion instability very early on as well. So you can start doing the SRS pretty early on. You can either level as Absolution until kind of basically like whenever you want. Like maybe you want to do Absolution leveling because it's just the best minion skill to level with until you get Tabikai. You could do that, or you can just use Infernal Legion. It's not as good, but Infernal Legion is going to make you take fire damage over time until your minion dies. So that is another way to proc minion instability. So it's not too bad. That's what we're going to be using until we get the Tabikai. So kind of keep that in mind. But the whole point here is that you actually get it super early, so you can start using your skill if you want to very early on, which is actually pretty cool. Some of these skills out there today, builds, you don't get to like use your skill until later on. So kind of cool that you get to use it early on. But yeah, as you go through here, it's like I said, you get life, you get damage, you get life, you get damage, and it's super balanced, and it's going to feel really good when you're leveling up. So moving on to the final tree here, let's talk about the Ascendancy. And you know, I mean, I don't think we really have to cover too much here on the build, I guess, because there's really just not too much to cover. You know what? Let's make sure that I had this. Okay, correct. I guess I can mention this one thing real quick. So this is actually a new mastery, 30% increased area of effect. That's actually pretty solid for us. It does help us with clear speed, so I actually do like that. But yeah, everything else is very basic. We are getting some block nodes. As you can see over here, we're not capped, but we're at 73%, 71%, so very solid. Our effective HP is 108,000, and I think this build will probably cost you around 1 to 1.5 divines. Feels weird saying that, but it's actually really cheap. And I think that's probably even pushing it. It's probably even cheaper than that, to be honest, because you're going to be crafting a lot of the gear yourself. So, but yeah, so we're doing that, and we are also looking at, that is incorrect, we're looking at 2.6 million DPS for that amount of investment. So pretty good. And that amount of tankiness, I'm liking it. Cool. So yeah, let's talk about the Ascendancy here. The first node that you're going to get is Mindless Aggression. Just a little bit of damage, not too much here, but the most important node that you're going to hit here is Bone Barrier, and that has minions have 20% more maximum life, so a ton of extra life. That's really going to help with your minion instability, and popcorning your SRS. So super good. Your third one could be, it's probably going to be Mistress of Sacrifice, because you're not really going to want to use Commander of Darkness for that. You and nearby allies have 30% increased elemental resistances. That's actually going to hurt you if you're using the Infernal Legion to kill your minions, because then they're going to get extra fire resist, and that's going to take longer for them to die. So it's not really that great. But if you get an early Tabikai, then you can do that. But if not, I'd probably go ahead and do Mistress of Sacrifice as your third one, and then very last you're going to get Commander of Darkness. But yeah, pretty basic here. As far as our cluster jewels here, you're going to pick up one large cluster jewel at the end game. Not necessarily the end game, but probably around, like, I don't know, you'll probably get this around yellow maps, I would assume, and it's not too expensive either, because you can get a 9 passive and be totally fine. I want you guys to keep that in mind, because you do not have to get an 8 passive. You absolutely can get a 9 passive, and all it does is make you use 1 extra point. Really not a big deal. But I still wanted to show you guys what is like the best in slot for this, and even this is pretty cheap. Not many people are looking for these mods, so this combination right here is actually pretty cheap compared to some of the other builds. So Feasting Fiends, we're getting maximum life and damage there, so that's pretty solid. And also Raise and Pillage, we're getting 6% of physical damage as extra fire damage. We're getting chance to ignite, and we're getting some extra damage against ignited enemies, and these guys are pretty much always going to be ignited, so it's basically just a little bit extra DPS. It's nothing crazy, but it's a little bit extra DPS. For our medium clusters, we're going with Hulking Corpses as your main node there, just 20%, 25% increased maximum life, so super solid. Once you, let me see if I can click this, later on, no, I don't have it. I'll show you guys when we talk about the gear in the tree later. I think it's, what is it, Feasting Fiends and Hulking Corpses is going to be your like in-game medium cluster, but for now you can totally just do Hulking Corpses, and that's actually really, really good. So super solid there, and those are really cheap. A Hulking Corpse is like 5 passive, which is what this is. That's going to cost you like 5 chaos, 10 chaos max for both of those. So pretty solid there. So don't be afraid of the cluster jewels. It's really, really cheap because we're getting things that most people don't use. So pretty nice there. Moving on to our skills here, we do have Summon Raging Spirit, of course. We're going to be going with, and this is also in order of importance, like as you pick them up through the campaign. Summoning Raging Spirit, keep in mind that you do want like Infernal Legion as you're leveling until you get Tabikai, so keep that in mind. So it would be like Summon Raging Spirit, Infernal Legion, Minion Life. Early on you can get Combustion as well. You would want to eventually replace that with Elemental Focus. And then your 4-link is Summon Raging Spirit, Minion Life, Elemental Focus, and Unleash. Unleash is actually super solid, helps you get out some extra minions so they can pop, which is pretty nice. And then Concentrated Effect is when you're going to get your 5th link, and your 6th link is Fire Pen. One thing that I do want to mention to you guys over here, as you can see there's 4 right here. The reason that it says 4 is because with the cast speed that we have in this build, it is on average, you're going to be popping 4 SRS a second, right? So as you're doing that, that's kind of how that, and I think that's how it calculates. That's how I think it calculates. If you guys have bigger brains than me and you can tell me that it's different, definitely let me know, but I think that that's how that works. And I've seen some other folks do it as well, so I'm pretty sure that's how it works. We'll see. But yeah, so that is the 6th link right there. Moving on to our gloves here. We have two links in our gloves, so keep that in mind. You do not want to link all of this together, but you want Tempest Shield and Determination. Again, we are going block chance with this build, so we're going to be going Tempest Shield, Determination, because we are also going armor. We have 26k armor here, and then the other 2-link in this boot is Summon Skitterbots and Unbound Ailments. Those two, because if you link Unbound Ailments to, like, for example, your Determination and Tempest Shield, it's going to hurt your mana quite a bit, so just make sure you have those unlinked between those two. Moving on to our weapon here, we have Desecrate, Life Tap, and Bone Offering. That is ideally, of course, going to be in a weapon that has trigger socketed spell when you use a skill, and it's going to automate it for you. Bone Offering, of course, because we are capping out, almost capping out, in our in-game build, we will definitely be capping out our block chance and our spell block chance, and we do that through Bone Offering and Mistress of Sacrifice with the Ascendancy. Moving on to our weapon 2, this is in our shield. We have Flame Dash, Shield Charge, and Faster Attacks. This is kind of personal preference. If you guys don't like using Shield Charge and Faster Attacks, you don't have to. You could do like a cast when damage take, or I'm sorry, a cast on death portal. That's another option for you solo, or for you you guys out there in softcore. Not a bad option as well. But Shield Charge and Faster Attacks does make you quite fast, so it's not a bad option. Moving on to our helmet here, we do have Animate Guardian, Meat Shield, Feeding Frenzy, and Minion Life. So it's kind of interesting. We usually have like a Spectre in there, but there's a reason we're doing that. So that is our helmet. If you guys don't want to use an Animate Guardian, or maybe you're using something else until you can Animate Guardian, maybe like at red tier maps you finally want to set up your Animate Guardian, you can throw in zombies up in here. I would do that instead, or you can do like a Stone Golem. You know, either one of those is totally fine. Moving on to our boots here, we do have a actual full link for our Spectres. The reason we're doing that is because they're actually going to debuff the enemies quite a bit for us. So we're having Race Spectre, Elemental Army, which if you don't know, it shreds some elemental resistances, in this case fire resistance, from the monsters. We're also going to have Combustion, which further is going to shred some fire resistance. And then we're going to have Greater Multiple Projectiles because of one of the Spectres that we are using. So the Spectres that we're going to be using are, this one is the most important one, Artless Assassin. It does fire damage. It actually shoots out little like explosive arrows type things. So doing that with greater multiple projectiles, it's going to be covering quite a bit of the screen with basically just shredding a whole bunch of elemental resistances, fire resistances from the enemy. So it's not bad there with the Artless Assassin. And then we're going to be using an Arena Master, a Pale Seraphim, and then the fourth one is kind of up in the air. Like, we're not really sure how good the Carnage Chieftains are going to be. Like, they're so terrible now, you just wouldn't even use it. I can't imagine that we wouldn't use it just because I'm sure it's going to be at least a little bit extra damage. Certainly not like it was before, but it's going to be a little bit. So I would think that our fourth one would be a Carnage Chieftain. Moving on to, there is nothing left to move on to, so we're not going to do that. Bone Armor is nice though. Bone Armor is going to be covering us with actually the main thing that I like it for is covering us with bleeds. While you have Bone Armor up, you are actually bleed immune, and where we're getting Bone Armor from is, of course, the Ascendancy right here. It comes from Bone Barrier. Keep that in mind. Now, I guess I should mention that too, right? That even though we have bleed immunity through Bone Barrier, I always go with a Quicksilver Flask with bleed immunity on use. So I still do that just because it makes me feel comfy inside. So yeah, that's the skill gem, the skill tree, the skill gems links, and that is, I mean, it's super straightforward, guys. It's one of the reasons I really like this build. You can do it from such an early level, and it just goes super well into the maps and then in the game, and then up into the Uber bosses, which it absolutely can do. So super simple, and you can do it, I think, literally at level 4. So pretty nice. Moving on to our items here, we do have a pretty simple wand here. This is literally just a +1. With also some minion life on there. You can probably get these pretty cheap. You could probably even roll it yourself, no problem. Just want to make sure that we have an open suffix so that we can craft on there trigger socketed spells when you use a skill. The most important mod there is, of course, that +1 minion level skill gems. So if you can only get that plus like an open suffix, don't worry too much about that. Minions have increased life. Same thing if you all can also get like minion increased damage instead of the increased life. So keep that in mind. But definitely the most important thing there is +1 level minion gems. The weapon 2, these are the new shields that we can get. The new shields are going to be able to roll minion damage roll. So for example, like this here has +1 level all minion skill gems, just like the wand. So I don't think it's going to be too hard to get a +1 on here. So not too bad on there. And then again, same thing here. Minions have increased maximum life, or you could have minions have increased damage as well. Pretty much basically the same thing as the wand. It's just a shield, so it's going to get some extra block chance, which is really nice. The helmet here, we have a super basic helmet. There is a change in this league. We no longer get +1 to 3 socketed minion gems. We now get +1 to 2 level of all minion skill gems, which is actually a buff to us because it's going to affect all of our gems in our whole build. So in this case, it is going to affect also our summon raising spirits and our body armor. So pretty nice there. So super easy here, just life. Try and get the +1, and then you could like craft on there. Minions have increased maximum life with the crafting bench. For your body armor, let's go ahead and click off of that. What you're probably going to have first is literally just buy like a 6-link, a white 6-link or anything like that. It's super cheap. Spend 15-20 chaos, craft on it yourself with Essence of Fear. Try and get a high life roll, and then you're going to get automatically with the Essence of Fear, minions have increased maximum life, which is, again, that is how we scale our damage. So keep that in mind. And it's super easy to craft. That whole craft is probably going to cost you like 15 to 20 chaos to get that. Super easy. Moving on to either the next item, which is going to be the like mid-tier to in-game item. It's probably not even going to be the in-game item. I would say it's going to be the mid-tier item. These are probably going to cost you like, I don't know, 40 to 60, 80 chaos the first week of the league, and then they go way down. And then it's going to be like 15 chaos. But you're going to want to make sure you get the correct colors here. You're going to want 5 blue and 1 red. And this is a really good item. I like this quite a bit. Go ahead and click this on here. Now, what this does is it's going to do 2 things. It +1 level of socketed gems, which is really nice. That is our SRS. But it also has 100% increased global defenses, which is going to give us a ton of armor. So check this out. We're at 26k. And if we do just this regular one, we're at 18k. That is such a big difference in armor. Really nice. And it's actually a pretty cheap item, and it already comes 6-linked. So not too expensive. The only thing you got to make sure, again, is that you get the right colors. So don't get one that's the wrong colors. Moving on to our gloves, this is where it gets super simple. And another reason I like this build, most of the gear that you're going to be using in this build, you actually craft yourself, literally just using Essence of Fear. It's super simple. So you're going to be getting ideally like a full armor glove, like a Titan Gauntlet glove, and you're going to craft it yourself. You're literally going to hit it with Essence of Fear until you get a life roll, and then some resistances as well, and then maybe even some dexterity on there. And it's just super cheap. It's literally going to cost you like 10 to 20 C max, and you'll get a super solid pair. Now the implicits from the Searing Exarch and from the Eater of World implicits, you're going to want minion damage on there, and you could also do a nerve on hit. Those are kind of two of the bigger ones that you could do for your implicits. Moving on to our boots, it is literally the same thing here. You're just going to get a basic pair of boots, ideally like Titan Greaves for the good armor, and you're going to just spam it with Essence of Fear. And you can literally spam, these are like 1 chaos. This is actually one of the lower roll ones. That's not even like the deafening high roll. I think it goes up to 30% maybe a little bit more. But yeah, that's like I think the 3rd highest roll that you can get. These are literally 1 chaos per attempt, so super cheap there. And obviously you just want some life, some move speed, get that maximum life, and also try and get some resistances. And if you need the dexterity, go ahead and get the dexterity there as well. As you guys know, we of course are using the Tabikai, so we're going to get that as early as possible. That's actually the first item that you're going to buy in this build, so you could start really just kind of taking off. Once you get this, the build feels really, really smooth. We are going to anoint Testudo on there, which is a pretty solid anoint, and it's really, really cheap. I will show you what that is. Plus 6 stance to block attack damage while holding a shield, 60% increased block recovery, and the big thing, well, not the big thing, but it's a nice extra thing here, is recover 30 life when you block. So it's just going to help you get almost block camped, and it's super cheap. Clear, sepia, and black. That's like 2 chaos to get that anoint, so pretty nice. Moving back to our items here. Moving on to our ring. So keep in mind, this is a gold ring that I have here, but this is not the ring that you're going to get. You actually want the new bone rings. These are new to this league. The implicit is all elemental resistance for minions, and they can roll minion damage modifiers. So they can roll minion life, they can roll minion damage, and I think they can roll minion speed. And I'm going to assume, I don't know this, but I think that they would probably roll like increased added physical or added damage as well, like added fire, but I don't know that for sure. It doesn't matter for this build because all that we want is either minions have increased life or minions have increased damage. So super, super simple to get that. Literally just life and then 1 damage roll. Easy peasy. And you're going to get that for both of your rings. Now, moving on to your belt, this is another thing that you're going to craft yourself, which is also super simple. It's very simply a Stygian Vise, and you're going to try and get some life on there, some resistances, same thing, and you're going to use Essence of Fear to get that minion's increased maximum life. And it's definitely the best to craft these yourself. Not many people sell items that have these on there, so it's much easier and almost like you kind of have to do it because just almost nobody sells that stuff. So you kind of have to craft it yourself, but that's totally fine because it's super cheap and really easy. Moving on to the Abyssal Jewel that we can have. There's actually a couple different jewel choices that you can have in this build. Here's one of them. Just a Ghastly Eye Jewel that has some life and also has some minions have increased life. One of the other options that you could do is something like, where are you? Like this. This is a little bit better of a jewel. So you got life, you got minions have increased maximum life, and then you also have minions deal X amount of damage after you use the minion skill. So that's a little bit better than that other one. We also have, I don't know if I have the other one here, but I'll just tell you. So you could also do a cobalt jewel that has increased maximum life, so like 7% increased maximum life, and minions have increased maximum life. So it's almost the exact same thing. It's just actually a little bit better because it's 7% increased maximum life. And you can also even roll minion damage on there as well, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think you can. So it's kind of like the exact same thing. The better one for sure is getting something like this, but these are a little bit more expensive, so these are probably worth like 40 to 60 chaos type of thing, whereas these other ones you can get for like 2 chaos, 5 chaos type of thing. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of like the scaling of what you can get. Super cheap ones, the medium cheap ones. And I did have this one up here I wanted to show you. So minions deal 25 to 34 fire damage. The reason we're getting that is so that our Spectres are dealing some fire damage, and not just the Artless Assassin, which is already dealing fire damage, but it's going to make all of our other Spectres also deal some fire damage, so they too can shred some resistances if needed. Now, this isn't probably 100% needed because I think the Artless Assassin will cover it no problem. So if you're feeling like you don't necessarily need that, then you would just want to get one of these other ones. Easy peasy. And that is all the gear. Let's go ahead and talk about the flasks. The flasks are basically the same flasks that I use in almost all of my builds. I have one basalt flask, and I'm going to try and get armor on that one, and the enchant that we're going to go for is used when charges are full. We're also going to get a Rumi's Concoction, same thing here, used when charges are full. This is actually the medium roll for this one. I think that the higher roll of the Rumi's Concoctions are probably going to be a little bit more expensive this league, just because you have to use a divine on it, which is a little silly, but it is what it is. So I went ahead and just did like a medium roll on there. Which is also a granite flask, which is going to get you some nice armor. That's how we're up to 26k. We do need an enduring eternal mana flask in this build. This is actually incredibly important. This should be one of the first things that you craft yourself or buy, because this is going to allow us to cast SRS. If you don't have something like this, you definitely need some type of mana flask. So definitely during the campaign, you will need a mana flask in order to sustain casting SRS. Once you get this, it's super easy. You just cast it, or I'm sorry, you hit the mana flask, and it lasts, 7 seconds. And that whole 7 seconds, you don't have to worry about it. Then you just hit it again. It's super easy. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up very early on to feel comfortable with casting SRS, because if you remember, they did get a mana increase of cost. And the perfect Enduring Mana Flask also has 25% reduced mana cost of skills during Flask effect. That's kind of like a perfect combo right there. The Endless Quicksilver Flask of the Skink. So it's increased charge recovery, and I kind of get charge recovery on all of mine as well. But I'm also immunity to bleeding and corrupting blood during Flask effect. And same thing here, I do use when charges are full, or you can do use when you are bleeding. Either one of those is fine. And I always get an Amethyst Flask as well, early league, because it's just a nice extra 35% Chaos Res to help you cap your Chaos Res. So pretty easy, and I think it's really solid. And on this one, I always get reduced effect of curses on you as well. So those are the flasks that I have. I did want to mention one thing. You might notice over here that a lot of these items don't have resistances on them. They don't have dexterity. So I still wanted to mention that. We do have it in, where is it over here? It's in the configuration, just because I didn't make these. I really wanted to focus it to where you saw what's the most important modifiers on these items. And then just remember that you got to cap out your resistances. You got to cap out your dexterity. We need, I think, 111 in this build total. And then you also have to cap out your chaos resist, or at least get as close to possible to your chaos res. And how I typically do that is I try and leave an open suffix on as many items as possible, and then I craft on there lightning and chaos res up to 15%, cold and chaos res, fire and chaos res, all that sort of stuff. And I do that for almost every one of my pieces where I can. And doing that along with the Amethyst Flask is going to get you pretty close to max chaos res. So it's pretty easy. Nice little trick there. Cool. So that is the POB. Let's go ahead and move on to the next part here, which is the trade links. So there are two versions of how you can utilize the trade links here. We can either go to, let me zoom out a little bit here, the better POE trading app extension, which you can use in Chrome, or what I have here is Opera GX. It's literally just an app extension you can download. The link's going to be in the description for it. I absolutely love this because it's actually embedded into the trading website, and it's just super simple to use. Basically, what I've done here is you're going to see SRS League Starter, and you can literally just click on these, and it takes you right to the trade. So super handy. Another thing that I've done for you guys is I've actually listed it in order of purchasing order. So it's kind of like your gear progression as well. So the first thing you want to buy is your Tabikai. Second thing is a Tabula, then your wand, then a 6-link to craft on. So I think that kind of helps you progress your character pretty easily. So I like that we do that here. Now, in order to get this, what you're going to do is actually go to the link in the description, and it's going to take you here, right? Now, you do not want to copy the Pastebin link itself. What you're actually going to want to do is copy this whole code here. So we're going to copy this. You could copy this as well. And then we're going to go back to the trade website, and you're going to go down to your Better POE Trading app extension, and you're going to import folder. It's in the bottom right here. And we're just going to paste that whole code. Then it's going to say SRS League Starter, 20 bookmarks, and you're going to save it. And then that's it. That's how you get this right here. For all those folks that don't want to use an app extension like this, or you can't because you're on Firefox or something like that, that's totally fine. I also have a Google document that is the exact same thing. It's got all the items that we want to purchase, and it also has the tiers of, when you purchase, you go to your little bit more expensive item, your in-game item, all that sort of stuff. So check that out as well. That will be, of course, linked in the description as well. It also has my other builds that I've done as League starters this league, so like Absolution, Flame Golem, some Raging Spirits. And in here, there's going to be a couple things that you're going to want to use. There is, of course, that Better POE Trading link right here. It, of course, does have the POB, but that's going to be linked in the description of the video as well. But it also has a couple other things, right? So bandits, we are going to kill all. The bad map mods, of course, we want to definitely stay away from No Regen and Ellie Reflect. Our major pantheon is Brine King, and we're doing that with also getting the Cannot Be Frozen. We're going to get minor pantheon of Aberrath, and we're also going to get the Unaffected by Burning Ground. And as I mentioned earlier, we do get Testudo is our amulet anoint. Very nice. And the last thing that I have here, I did want to mention this. Sometimes when you make Path of Buildings, you can't, like, I'll even show you guys. Let's go to save, let's import, export, generate Pastebin. For us content creators, sometimes we struggle because of this. We've made too many POBs in the past 24 hours. Feels bad. So what we have to do is we generate it, and we use not Pastebin, but we use what's called this pobb.in. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys. Basically, when you click the link in the description of the video, it'll take you to this, which is actually kind of cool in itself. You can do stuff like, you know, click the tree and see, basically, it's kind of like a POB. It's like a light version of POB and a website version. So kind of cool, I guess. But what you could do is, if you want to get into POB, you just go up here and you copy this right here. You copy, then you go right back to your POB, and you just import it right here. Go to import build, click import, done. I will eventually make a Pastebin link for it, just so you guys don't have to worry about it. I just literally cannot right now because it's not letting me. So I wanted to mention that to you guys. Lastly is, of course, I am going to make a leveling filter customized specifically for this build. So if you guys want to check that out, basically what it's going to do is it's going to highlight all of the colors that you need for your gear as you're leveling up. Just makes the experience of leveling up a little bit smoother. So you can see on the ground, like, for example, if you need like a blue wand or something, it'll have like a beam shooting up from the ground that's like a blue beam, and that'll signify to you that, hey, that's like a blue item that I probably need. Let's go check it out. Let's pick it up, and it's going to help you get your colors and your gem links sorted a lot earlier than if you're not kind of like paying attention to it. So I use it myself. And I have a ton for different builds here. I do have one specifically for SRS, like I said. I do wanted to mention, though, for all of my leveling loot filters, if you were playing on the absolute start of the league, like the first 30 minutes of a league, sometimes the filters do not work because they're actually based off of NeverSync's filter. And his filters have to get fixed, essentially, for mine to work first. So just kind of keep that in mind. If it's not working in the first 30 minutes of the league, don't worry about it too much. It's going to auto-fix itself. And then you'll be totally fine. Now, in order to actually use the filter, for me, it says edit here, but for you guys, it's going to say follow. So click follow, and it'll go right to your game. Make sure, of course, that you're leveled in, and it'll go right to your game. The other thing I wanted to mention with my filters is that I was able to recently change my profile name to actually Von Victon. It used to be something different. So if you guys are using my old link to my profile, it has changed now. It is now Von Victon. So just wanted to mention that, because you can also, I always leave my characters open. If you guys want to see my characters, you can come here and like check my progress as I'm leveling up the build. You could do that. I'm also going to be streaming on Twitch the first weekend, like super hard, probably 16 hours a day. And then every weekend after that, probably for a good month, I'm going to stream quite a bit. So definitely check it out. If you guys have questions, hit me up over there. I am seriously always open to answering questions. That's literally the reason I stream, is to just sit there, chat with you guys, and answer your questions. No other reason. I just enjoy helping you guys out. So that's all I got on this one, guys. If y'all are playing this build, I wish you good luck. This is actually probably what I would play, is if I wasn't doing Absolution. I think this is going to be a fantastic build of both defenses and offenses. I definitely think this is, even the cheap gear is going to literally take you all the way to Uber content, and then once you invest like 10 divines or so into your gear, you're going to be doing Uber bosses no problem with this, and it's going to feel really comfortable because you're super tanky and doing some pretty solid damage. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, once again, like I always mention, if you guys stuck through the whole video, the whole 34-minute video, let me know in the comment sections. You seriously rock. I appreciate it, and I hope it helps you guys out. Thanks, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.